Generally speaking, I am not the best R6 player out there, but one of my main strengths is my aim, and more specifically, my crosshair placement. I have a 70% headshot rate, and while that specific skill has mostly been transferred from other games like Counter-Strike, Valorant, and even GTA, I have found a few tricks that will help you get better crosshair placement in R6. And a quick disclaimer, none of the following tips apply to DMR gameplay. Now this first tip is going to be able to be used in game. So if you're in game and you have no clue where to look at to hit some headshots, then you can just look at any barricade and look at the second buckle. So here's the first one, and then here's the second one up here. You just want to look at the second buckle, and that is actually the perfect head height. I'm going to show you here. If I move my crosshair directly horizontally onto this dummy, you'll notice that, obviously, I'm aiming at his head. So, anytime you do want to figure out where the head level is and you're in game and you're aiming all over the place trying to figure it out, don't wait until you get in an actual gunfight. Just look at a barricade, look at the second buckle, and that is your perfect head height right there. And same actually goes for these lines, which I just realized while recording. These lines on Nighthaven Labs also align to head height, so if you're playing on Nighthaven Labs, don't really see any barricades near you, just look at one of these lines. They also align with head level. This is definitely the best hint you're going to get when it comes to where to aim to hit heads, so yeah, definitely keep this one in mind. Now the next tip is to stop crouching. Not in general, just in gunfights. So if you didn't already know, if you crouch, then you are actually giving the enemy a better chance to kill you, and I'll show you why. So look at this crouching dummy. If I'm aiming at body level for this standing dummy, and I turn around, I'm actually aiming at head level for this crouching dummy. So if you are crouching, you're actually making it easier for the enemy, who is probably going to be aiming body level, especially in low ranks. You're just giving them a better chance to hit a headshot. So stop crouching as much. In gunfights especially, you don't really want to crouch. Obviously, there are exceptions. This is Siege, there's going to be a lot of different situations that you have to play, but generally, you just want to be standing the entire time in a gunfight. And also, relating to the next tip, crouching also kind of does mess up your crosshair placement, because if you're aiming at head level and you crouch, you're going to be aiming at body level, while the enemy is going to be aiming at your head, because chances are they're aiming at body level. So it actually does help with your crosshair placement to not crouch as much in gunfights. Now the next tip is going to be something that you should only do if you have mastered aiming at head level. If you haven't, I'm going to give you an alternative. So if you have mastered aiming at head level and you're trying to improve your gunplay game, you know, get in some quick peeks, you know, maybe some crouch peeks, I don't know. Depends what you want to do, but like, if you are planning on doing all the fancy stuff, then you have to compensate. So, if I'm aiming at this enemy's head and I decide to lean to the right, then you're going to notice that my crosshair, I haven't moved it at all. If I lean, my crosshair ends up off of the enemy's head. So, the same goes for crouching. If I crouch, obviously, I'm aiming at the enemy's stomach instead of their head. So, if you are trying to get some fancy stuff in after you've already mastered aiming at head level, then you need to learn how to compensate. And it's very simple. If you lean right, then look a little bit to the left. So your crosshair doesn't actually leave the enemy's head, even though you are leaning. Same goes for leaning to the left. If you lean to the left, then aim to the right. So it looks a bit like this. You're going to want to know how to do that. And if you're crouching, it's the same thing. But you just... So when you're crouching, you crouch down. So you aim up. If you're crouching back up, then you aim down. You don't have to move your crosshair that much. It's like a little movement, but it helps a lot when you learn how to compensate, because sometimes you're going to be crouching and you're going to realize, oh, this is a bad position to crouch, so I'm going to have to stand up again. You don't want to have your crosshair off of the enemy's head. You want to keep your crosshair on there, so you have the best chance of killing them. So you just want to know how to compensate all the time. Now the next tip is going to be look around with your crosshair. Please, when you are scanning a room for enemies, don't look with your eyes dangling around the screen. Make sure your eyes are always focused on your crosshair, and make sure they are locked onto your crosshair and not looking anywhere else. So then if you see an enemy, you can instantly shoot. Let's say my eyes aren't looking at my crosshair. I see that enemy in the corner right there, then I decide to shoot them. That is not good, because they're probably going to shoot me before I shoot them. Whereas if I'm looking at my crosshair, and if I'm looking with my crosshair instead of around the room and my crosshair somewhere else, then I'm going to see the enemy and instantly be able to shoot them. So wherever you are looking, look with your crosshair, because an enemy is going to end up in your line of sight and you are not going to be able to shoot them if you're looking halfway across the room. So please always make sure that you are looking with your crosshair. Now the last tip is going to be, do not panic peek. Let me use this situation as an example. The enemy is really close to me, right behind this table, whatever. This situation does happen sometimes in ranked games, especially when you're playing defuse. So let's say I'm on this side, the enemy's on that side, I really start panicking. So I just decide to peek and I'm aiming at his body, he's aiming at my head, and then I'm dead. Round has been lost, game has been lost, I ranked down, I'm in copper, whatever. So instead of that, make sure you are always listening, paying attention, and not panicking. Don't act on panic. Don't just shoot because you're scared. That's not what the game is about. Just play it normally and don't overreact. Make sure you're aiming at head height. Listen to the enemy's footsteps. That's a very important one. Always listen. If they swing you, make sure you're aiming at their head, and if they're not moving, maybe they're planting or counter defusing, whatever, then swing and shoot them. Just point is, don't panic peek, because you're always going to lose if you panic. Now the final tip I'm going to give is get used to it. If you've been playing Siege for hundreds of hours and you've been aiming at body level the entire time, you are not going to learn to get good crosshair placement overnight. But you can speed it up. Always train with the headshot only mode. As you can see in the options settings on the shooting range or any training mode pretty much, there'll be a setting for headshot only. Always have this on and get used to it. It's going to be very important. I said earlier in the video that one of the reasons I adapted very quick to Siege's one-shot headshot, kind of mechanic, is because I have a history of playing games where headshots are a part of the game. Like I played Counter-Strike, Valorant, even GTA. Those games all, incorporate one-shot headshot mechanics, and I just got used to it over time. So when I came to Siege, it was pretty easy for me to adapt and hit those headshots. Even if you've played a ton of shooters that do not incorporate one-shot headshot mechanics, it's going to take you a while, but you just need to train and you just need to learn to get there. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, then please like and subscribe for more tips and tricks, and I will see you in the next one.